Yeah, hello and welcome to my channel. As I said in my previous video, when I got my Leica Q3, it was like going home. I relighted my spark again for photographing and really enjoy using this little camera for my art photography. I started photographing in 1979 and my first camera was a Canon AT1. It was fully manual, no automatic in that, only the light metering. And then I got the Canon AV1 that was aperture priority and the Canon AE1 that was shutter speed priority. Then I got the Canon A1 that had all the things, all the automatic, and lastly I got the Canon F1U that was a professional camera. And then I started to photograph professionally, commercially by using a Hasselblad. And the first Hasselblad I had was a 500 CM, and later on I got the 500 ELX that is having a motor on. But these cameras are fully manual and there's no light meter in it. So I had to use a light meter. As you can see here, I bought a Minolta light meter and I could measure the light and transfer that to the Hasselblad. And I also had a Sena 4x5 inch camera that I could use on the studio when I took commercial photography there. Later on I started to use other digital cameras that had plenty of automatic in, and I kind of lost my interest in photographing because my feeling was that it was mostly the camera that did the work. I didn't have to do anything, and lastly I had a feeling that it was not me who was controlling the picture and how I wanted it to be. So after many years I finally got the idea to buy a Leica camera. I never had such one before, and yeah, my first Leica camera that I bought a year ago was a Deluxe 7, and it's an awesome little camera. I can recommend that, but it didn't have a full frame and I wanted the best quality. So when the Leica Q3 came out, I thought that was the best camera or the greatest camera for me. And it really is. It's a really nice camera. Lots of reviews on YouTube about that, so you can look it up. But the reason why I'm so excited about it is because I can use it fully manual. And I would like to show you now what I mean by that and how I set my camera so I feel that I have control over it. And as a little thing, I will tell you about the ISO and why that, particularly that subject or that reason why that changed my mindset regarding photographing manual. And the Leica Q3 can be used 100% automatically. You can set the aperture for A so that the camera decides, and you can set the shutter speed for A so that the camera can choose that, and then it's going on a program. You don't have to do anything and the camera will choose all the settings for you. And also the focusing, you can set it on autofocus and the camera will choose where it wants it to be sharp. But for me, it's not the way to photograph things. So I choose to set the aperture myself and the focusing myself and also the shutter speed. And this is because then it's in the old days. This is how a camera looked in the old days. I could set the shutter speed, the aperture and my focus. And that is why I chose Leica for my new adventure in photographing. And I said something about the ISO. And you can set the ISO automatically. The camera will choose the ISO setting. But if you are taking pictures in manual mode, and you have the camera on auto ISO, you're not completely in control of what you are doing. So you have to set the ISO value manual to. So I choose to set it on 100 ISO when I'm outside and about 400 ISO when I'm inside. And mostly, in most cases, this is actually the best way for me. If I choose to make it automatically and I choose the aperture and the shutter speed, the right one, then if the camera think it's not a good choice, then it will correct it in the ISO, and I don't want that. So I set the ISO manual, 100 ISO and 400 ISO. I can go up to a lot of ISO if I want to do that, but that's not for me. So I can recommend you to go in and set your ISO manual and choose ISO like in the old days when you had a film that had a certain speed. You put in the camera and then you had that to work with, and then you have to choose the right aperture and the right shutter speed. Another thing that is very important is when you take the camera, you have to put it in what they call, you can see down here, PASM. It stands for Program, Aperture and Shutter Speed Manual. You have to put it there because then you can see in the viewfinder what you're getting. If you are adjusting the aperture or the shutter speed, you can see in the viewfinder it's getting darker or lighter. If you have it in PAS, it will always show a bright, a well-exposed image in the viewfinder. And that's not correct, but then you can see how your picture will be. So put it in PASM and you will see in the viewfinder what you're doing with the camera. On other cameras it can be called exposure simulation. I know Canon has that, an exposure preview. So you have to put it in a mode where you can see if you're doing something, it lights up and get dark. So this is how I photograph in manual mode. I set the aperture myself, the shutter speed, and I'm also using manual focusing. And then I set the ISO value myself. I don't want it to be automatic, then it ruins my picture. So then you have to set your camera that what you see in the viewfinder is what you get. So that means if you open the aperture, it will be brighter and you will see that. And if you're closing the aperture, it will be darker and you'll see that. So that's very important to do that, so you have an idea of what you're photographing, if it's okay in exposure and so on. Yeah. And then for me it's very easy to photograph, and it's not as fast as autofocus, I know that, but it gives me control over what I'm going to photograph and where I want the focus to be, the sharpness, and how bright or how dark I want my picture to be. And I can expose after the highlights if I want to do that, or after the shadows. And again, a little short video I hope you find interesting. Yeah. Thank you for watching my channel, and I hope to see you again on my next one. Bye bye.